Quebec-based company AddEnergie is powering the cars of the future. They're about to get a lot busier with their network of electric charging stations. With more on this, let's go to Sylvain Bouffard. And Sylvain is Director of Communications and Public Affairs at AddEnergie. Hi, Sylvain. How you doing?
I'm doing very good.
Now,
Thanks for having me.
Sylvain, you might like me a little bit more in just a few seconds because I just bought an electric car, okay?
Oh.
So I'm full speed ahead on the future, okay? But one of the things now that I've purchased an electric car, and I do not have charging at home, by the way, I've been downloading all the apps and looking at the different charging stations, right? The different charging networks, right? And there's Circuit Electric, and there's Flow, and there's all of these different ones, and I have no idea what's different. And I believe your company's involved in all of this. So why don't you break it down for our listeners?
Yeah, sure. AddEnergie, as you said, we're at Quebec. We're based out of Quebec City. We manufacture charging stations out of a plant that is based in Shawinigan. And doing so, we've been providing charging stations to both Circuit Electric, which is owned and managed by Hydro-Québec, and to our own EV charging network, which is called Flow. What's great about these two networks is that actually there are roaming agreements between the two. So if you have an app, let's say if you have the Flow app, you can access the charging stations on the Circuit Electric app as well, and vice versa.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, it sounds to me this is a great business to be in if A, you're making your own network, and B, Hydro-Québec and the City of Montreal are using your technology. Seems like a great deal.
It is really exciting. We've been in the EV charging business since 2009. Started really small with actually one person, with our founder, and it's growing fast. We're now at 185 employees, and really we have the expectation that things will accelerate because Quebec is a very dynamic market. We've been able to grow rapidly because Quebec is really ahead of the curve in North America in terms of electric vehicle adoption. But we've been installing our Flow network stations outside of Quebec. We're present across the country, and we've made some forays in the U.S. as well.
And I got to ask you, Sylvain, you mentioned, the growth you've had even with employees from one to where you are today. You go to your website, it's clear you guys are looking for new employees. Like you've got the careers section ready to go. You need people here in a whole bunch of locations across Canada, even spots in the U.S. So tell me about the growth that the company is experiencing, particularly on the number of chargers that are out there.
Yeah. Well, right now we've had, since the creation of the company, we've sold 30,000 charging stations. We cover the key market segments with our charging stations. So we have the residential model. We have solutions for workplace or for commercial charging. We also do the public charging stations that you have on the streets in Montreal and elsewhere in Quebec, both for what we call level twos. So the slower charging that is typically available for longer times of parking, and the fast charging stations. We have a 50 and 100 kilowatt model that are available. So these, so we're now at 30,000 plus, but it's interesting to see that just in the past 12 months, we produced 11,000 of those 30,000. So you can see we're really in a hockey shape kind of acceleration curve, and so that's really exciting.
We're with Sylvain Bouffard. He's Director of Communications and Public Affairs of AddEnergie. They are behind the technology on those chargers you see on city streets and their own electric charging network, Flow. So Sylvain, how do you decide where to put a charger? How do you decide when you should expand, add more chargers?
Yeah, that's a great question. In fact, we will typically work with a partner that will often own the land or have control to the location where the charger is going to be installed. So there are different models of where we will determine the location of a charging station. But in the case of the City of Montreal, we have been working with them, and we have access to data about charging patterns. So we can identify, based on that data, areas of opportunities. Neighbors where there might be actually a shortage of private parking spaces, so where people will actually need the public charging infrastructures if they want to be able to own an EV. And so based on that conversation and that planning, we're able to identify locations where this will be, where we'll most likely to have an impact in terms of enabling people to acquire a new electric vehicle.
Sylvain, the Quebec government, of course, announced last week, 2035, that's the year that gas-powered vehicles, not going to be able to buy those. They're going to have to be electric or some sort of plug-in hybrid system. Knowing that, you mentioned the hockey street curve that you've got. What are you expecting in the near future, in the medium, in the long term, when it comes to rolling out electric chargers? How many will we need in this province?
Oh, that's a very good question. The Quebec government right now is planning to have around 1.5 million electric vehicles in 2035, and based on common assumptions of ratios in terms of both fast chargers and level 2 charging stations, we could need as much in total as 70,000 charging stations.
Got 70,000. Okay, and I have a listener asking about the super fast ones. I think the level 3s, right? The 400-volt chargers. What about those? What about those very fast charging systems?
The expectation is that we would need about 10,000 of them across the province, it often seems like the fast chargers they're really important, particularly for people who are traveling from one city to another. Mm-hmm. But for day-to-day EV ownership, people mostly charge on L2. So L2s are also particularly important, especially in a place like Montreal, to provide with people who don't have a charging station at their residence.
Sylvain Bouffard, Director of Communications and Public Affairs of AddEnergie. Sylvain, really interesting discussion and I guess continued support, success, and growth for your company.
Thank you very much.